Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Tori and today I'm going to show you what you can do during 12 hours in Muscat, Oman. If you're watching this video after my last video where I spent 72 hours here in Oman, you're probably wondering, why are you doing a separate video about just 12 hours? I'll get into that later, but first I want to show you Sultan Qaboos Grand Mosque. So before I go inside, I need to put on this long sleeve shirt to cover my arms and to cover my head with the scarf. Oh my goodness, it is so beautiful here. So luckily I have the opportunity to go inside the mosque, but first I need to take off my shoes. Outside the mosque, they list a few ground rules just to ensure that all the visitors are respectful. The details in this room are incredible. From all the different elements in the chandeliers to the extremely intricate wall carvings on the doors and on the pillars, as well as all around the room. When you walk into the mosque, you enter through the beautiful garden behind me. And then you do a nice 180 and you're able to enter into that room. We have now entered the main part of the mosque and I've met a friend, Musa.
How are you?
Musa, what's this area called?
It's called the mihrab for Imam to read the Quran.
So they'll come out and read it on the microphones there. And Musa showed me that there's actually little hidden rooms where people come out if they are reading the Quran. But the ceiling in here is absolutely incredible. So Musa was just telling me that there can be over 1,000 people in this one area of the mosque. The Imam oftentimes speaks to the people attending here at the mosque from this little turret. And a single line of people can be upwards to 100 people across. If you look at the ceiling has very intricate woodwork with tiles in the corners. And then you move to the main dome, which is covered in these blue and teal tiles. It's beautiful. Unfortunately, it's impossible to capture how beautiful these stained glass windows are in real life, but they are lining the walls of the mosque. The mosque also has the Quran along the walls, and they're covered in plastic right now because in order to touch the Quran, you have to be completely clean. They believe that using the Quran is a way to talk straight to Allah. I was just told that this little crack actually has AC, so when we walk barefoot, our feet don't burn on the marble. Musa was just telling me about all these beautiful pillars. And here at this mosque, there are 5 pillars to represent the 5 pillars of Islam. It's 11:30 and the mosque officially closes to visitors at 11. And I was really lucky because I was with Musa. After I walked out of the first area that you could enter, Musa actually approached me and asked me if I spoke English. He then brought me to the informational area where he volunteered to tell me a little bit more about the mosque and Islam. After we walked through the mosque, he showed me the bathhouses where you wash up before you can go into the mosque or touch the Quran. He also fact-checked and said that the mosque can fit 20,000 people, 8,000 people inside and 12,000 people outside. People typically only come to this mosque, this grand mosque, on Fridays. For all the other days, for daily prayer, they go to the smaller mosques in the surrounding area. Both women and men can come here to worship. However, there is a special area for the women. Although I wasn't able to see it myself, I was told that the women's area is a little bit smaller than the broader worship area because women are actually allowed to worship from home, whereas men have to come to the mosque on Fridays. Overall, I definitely want to come back, probably come a little bit earlier in the morning when it's a little cooler, or come during a time that's a little cooler and spend a little bit more time appreciating the little details. One of my number 1 recommendations for coming to see this mosque is going to the informational area so you can learn a little bit more about the mosque, Islam, the history, that it's 21 years old, the pillars, and just a little bit more about how it's used on a daily basis here. It's almost 12 o'clock and I think I'm going to spend the rest of my day driving to Nitsua. Nitsua is about an hour and 45-minute drive away, about 99 miles, and I'm very excited to see what it has to offer. I've been driving for about an hour, but I needed to make a quick pit stop. The good thing about these Omani roads are that they're extremely easy to drive, very wide, well kept, and also there are tons of gas stations along the road. So I took a little pit stop to the bathroom, and I needed a little caffeine to keep me going. I've arrived at Nitsua Fort. I need to find someone to help me know how to pronounce it correctly. So coming from the craft market, the entrance to the fort is just right there, and I am parked right there. Crazy lucky here. Luckily, it looks like the fort behind me is open. Let's go inside and check it out. I'm starting to walk through the exhibits, and I noticed that I am the perfect height for these doorways. I probably have maybe a foot. There are perks to being 5'3" sometimes. Once you pay the fee of 5 OMR, you walk into this courtyard area. So you have the fort behind you, some exhibits here, and it says farm, bathrooms, and then a place that you can buy things, I believe. It's a tent, it has some pots. So a really pretty setup. I feel like I have this place completely to myself. When this happens, it's an absolute treat. It really helps you really appreciate where you're at and its place in history. I mean, look at this place. I can just imagine it bustling with people. These stars and the beautiful archways. I love how it's just this courtyard. Over there is actually marked as a date store. This fort was built in between 1649 and 1661. It's built adjacent to the castle. So the fort up there is known as the Citadel. The Citadel portion is 36 meters in diameter and 36 meters tall. What's really interesting to me is the strategic location of both the fort and the residential area. It was placed here to oversee the flow of commerce over the irrigation system, which I hope to go see if we have time later. And onwards to the fort. I'm assuming that This banister is very old because there's a sign that says, "Look up," and falling shafts. They're also telling you to look down because there's a step, as well as probably the foundation of this fort. Up we go. Okay, a little further up, they actually explain it. So these glass windows show how you can remove these wooden planks here for when there were enemies trying to climb these stairs. That way they would fall through prior to getting to the top of the fort. Pretty smart. We made it to the top of the fort. Let me show you around. You can see these gun positions all the way around the fort. And then the lookout towers with tons of stairs. Wow, wow, wow. It is incredible up here. You can see everything behind me. You can see the mountains and the city. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I think these are the date palm trees just past these houses, and then these stunning mountains all around. After walking to the top of one of the lookout points, I wanted to go up this one as well. I think it's gonna be the most beautiful spot, overlooking the mountains with the fort in the background and a little glimpse at the mosque. I'm just forgetting not wearing my watch so I can count my stairs. Yeah, I was definitely right about the view. There's about 35 steps on the way up, so not too bad. It might be 36. I don't remember if I counted the little landing in between the two steps. We're back in the dungeon. Just kidding. We're going down the stairs from the top of the fort, and we're gonna go check out the castle now. By coming out to the farm portion, you do get to see the outer walls of the lower part of the fort and the courtyard, which are pretty awesome to look at. Again, I am killing it with my height and these doorways. I mean, look at this, it's perfect. We are now back down to the castle portion of the Nitsua Castle Fort, and it's just really well done with the different props they have. It helps you visualize what it was like when it was actually used. I just got done with my fort castle tour, and it was really, really good. I highly recommend it. It was worth the hour and 45-minute drive. It's about 3 o'clock right now. I'm gonna go try to find the irrigation system. I love these forts on top of the mountains. Coming here feels like coming to a seemingly normal park. You have families and kids playing, a lot of green grass, some play sets. Oh, and these gorgeous mountains behind me. I mean, look at these mountains. They are magnificent, and Nitsua is placed in a location where these mountains surround it. But what makes this park so special is that it's home to Village Darius. All you do is you cross this little bridge, and you can see the irrigation channels, and there's some kids over there playing in the water. The prosperity of Nitsua is attributed to both this afflage system as well as its strategic location at the base of the Hajar Mountains. Afflage Darius is one of 111 afflage active today. There are 134 total. Afflage Darius is said to be the largest of all the afflage, with 2 different channels coming from 2 different mother wells converging to one. The park itself is extremely quiet and serene, and the water is so clear. You can see to the bottom of the water, and you can see a couple of the coins, and earlier there were some children playing in the water. Since I have a flight to catch in a couple hours, I don't plan on swimming, but I'm sure it's extremely refreshing on a really hot day and a lot of fun for some kids. Since the lighting is so good and it's such a peaceful location, I think it's about time to tell you why I'm doing this 12-hour trip. What happened was I got to the airport at about 7 o'clock this morning and found out that I could not board my flight because I did not get the PCR test done. Since most airlines and most airports only focus on your final destination, and Bahrain requires you to take a PCR test upon arrival, I did not get a PCR test. It turned out to be a mistake because my flight from Muscat to Abu Dhabi, from Abu Dhabi to Bahrain, required a negative PCR test just to transit through. And honestly, I should have known better. I should have checked online, but my friends had flown out the night before and had no issues flying from Oman back to Bahrain. The difference in their flight, though, was that their flight was a direct flight straight to Bahrain. I did feel a little less dumb, though, because there were 2 other people in my same exact situation. One of the guys was actually flying to London, and he was about to miss his connecting flight, which was a lot more expensive than me rebooking my flight to Bahrain. After I was told that I couldn't get on the plane and fly through Abu Dhabi, I booked another flight for 11:30 p.m., which gave me another day to explore Oman. I just pulled over on the side of the road. The car is still running because I wanted to show you what I meant by the little forts on the crest of the mountains. It's right there. I guess there's no reason to build a Great Wall when you already have a naturally made one. I just arrived in the Souk parking lot area. There is a ton of parking, which I'm very thankful for. I feel a lot of times at these souks and markets, there's very limited parking. The Souk just opened up about 20 minutes ago, so there aren't very many people around, but let's see what we can find. So this is where I am entering under this beautiful bridge, and you can already see some of the pottery. In the Nitsua Souk thus far, I've been seeing a lot of pottery, some weapons, including the traditional Omani dagger, the khanjar. I've also seen a significant amount of silver here. I read somewhere that this souk is the best souk in all of Oman for buying silver. This souk also has a fruits and vegetables portion. To me, this looks like an indoor farmer's market. It really actually reminds me of back home in Wisconsin for State Fair, where there's a bunch of different vendors set up selling their fresh produce. After walking through the fruit and vegetable souk, you'll find yourself at the date souk. If there's one thing I found out from living in the Middle East, is that the people here love their dates. There it is, an entire souk dedicated to dates. And next to the date souk, where you can taste test a ton of different types of dates, you will find the goat market. And I don't think this market means greatest of all time. So there were obviously not any goats here right now, and I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I think people will parade the goats around and bring them to that circular portion where people will auction for goats. And you obviously can't have a goat souk without a fish souk. And they don't have any fish vendors in here right now, but they are selling fresh fish over on the corner. Oh, and I can smell it. And then this is the overall meat souk. And for reference, goat market, vegetable souk, and then these are the stores that I started off with. So everything is pretty close together, and since the souk just opened, maybe 45 minutes ago, everything is still very calm. Out of all the different markets and souks I've been to around the world, I would say the Omani souks are the most calm that I've been to yet. You don't have people trying to put things on you or following you around or trying to barter with you. They just let you walk by. They'll say, "Are you interested in this?" Usually in a calm, kind of quieter voice. But overall, my experiences at these souks, I've only been to 2 here in Oman, have been very, very good. There are about triple the amount of cars in the parking lot from when I parked about 30 minutes ago. Granted, there were only 3 cars in the parking lot then, but I am actually going to head out and find a good spot to catch the sunset. I'm going to put Muscat International Airport into my GPS, start heading back, and if I see a good sunset spot, I'm gonna stop. As I leave Nitsua, I cannot recommend it enough. It's a perfect day trip from Muscat. Everything is extremely close together, especially if you have a car. So you go to the fort and the castle and the souk, they're all co-located. And so you could go to the fort and the castle in the early afternoon and then check out the souk afterwards. And then maybe right before, check out the irrigation system. There's even more to do here. I just didn't have enough time, and honestly, I thought I was leaving this morning, so I didn't have any more money. And some of the other places had an admission fee. As I was getting closer to the highway, I was a little nervous I wasn't gonna find a good sunset spot, so I decided to stop at Nitsua Gate. The sun is beginning to set over there, and I am parked at Nitsua Gate. And that is what I call 2 birds with 1 stone. What a way to welcome you to Nitsua. You have the Omani flag and the turrets and the ode to all the other architecture here. Apologize for it being really loud with the cars going by, but look how beautiful it is through this doorway with the sunset. And that is a check for the last Omani sunsets. I just turned in my car and I am about to head upstairs to check in for my flight. My fingers are crossed that there are no more snags and everything goes well. And I would say today was an extremely successful day, especially since it didn't start out on the right foot. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever made a travel boo-boo. And gosh knows, this won't be my last. I would love it if you would like this video, subscribe, comment down below on what you'd like to see next, and I'll see you next time. Another fly.